evening. Tonight's story will take you into the heart of Delhi, India, on a warm summer night in 1995, where behind the closed doors of a restaurant, something horrifying was happening. Something that would shake the entire nation. This is a story about control, obsession, and the terrifying lengths one man went to when he couldn't accept the truth. So, lay back, close your eyes, and let your body sink deep into comfort. Let your thoughts float away as we begin the slow, haunting journey into the Tandoor murder. It was July 2nd, 1995. Constable Abdul Nazir Kunju and Home Guard Chandrapal were on their usual night patrol near Connaught Place, a busy area in the heart of New Delhi. Around 2 a.m., they turned into Ashoka Road when they noticed a strange sight. A heavy, dark smoke rising from a nearby building. Curious and concerned, they moved closer. It was coming from a restaurant, but the restaurant was closed. They asked the watchman what was going on. Just then, a man stepped out and calmly said, "Nothing serious. We're just burning some old waste inside." That man was Sushil Sharma. The officers accepted the explanation and continued their patrol, but just moments later they heard a woman scream, "Fire! There's a fire!" They rushed back. The flames had grown, now visible from outside the restaurant. Something wasn't right. Backup was called. The fire department too. But when they tried to enter, the doors were locked from the inside. So Constable Kunju and Chandrapal climbed over the boundary wall, and that's when they saw it. Two men standing over a massive clay oven, a tandoor, feeding it paper and wood and blowing air to stoke the flames. One of them was the manager, Keshav. The other was Sushil Sharma, the same man they had spoken to earlier. When the officers called out, Sushil said coldly, "We're just burning old political documents. You should go." But something didn't feel right. Constable Kunju smelled something in the air. It wasn't just smoke. It was the unmistakable stench of burning flesh. They forced their way inside. Flames roared from the tandoor. They quickly doused it with water, and what they saw would haunt them forever. Inside the tandoor was a half-burned human body. Pieces of intestines hung from the side. As water hit the scorched skin, it peeled from the bones, releasing a stench that made everyone step back in horror. It was clear this was not waste. This was murder. Sushil had vanished, but Keshav was arrested on the spot. By morning, the news of a woman's body found burning inside a restaurant, Tandoor, exploded across the nation. That same day, a man walked into the police station. His name was Matlub Karim. He quietly said, "I believe the body is that of Naina Sahni, Sushil Sharma's wife." Sushil, a politician and rising star in his party, was now the prime suspect, and he was on the run. 9 days passed. Then, finally, Sushil surrendered to police in Bangalore, but he denied everything. He claimed he had no part in her death, but Constable Kunju Chandu and Chandrapal had seen him with their own eyes. They knew he was lying, and eventually, under interrogation, Sushil cracked. He confessed he had murdered his wife. Here's what happened. On the night of July 2nd, Sushil came home to find Naina on the phone, laughing, drink in hand. As soon as she saw him, she ended the call. Something inside Sushil snapped. Fueled by jealousy and suspicion, he checked the phone and redialed the last number. The call was answered by Matlub Karim, Naina's ex-boyfriend. That was it. Sushil lost control. He stormed into the bedroom, shouting. Their argument escalated quickly. In a fit of rage, Sushil pulled out a revolver and shot her. Dead. He panicked. He cleaned up the blood. And then he made a horrifying decision. He would destroy the evidence. He would burn her body in the Tandoor at his own restaurant. And that's exactly what he tried to do before the smoke gave him away. But this story wasn't just about jealousy. Behind the headlines was a darker truth. Sushil Sharma was a deeply insecure, controlling, and abusive man. He would lock Naina inside their home. He beat her, manipulated her, gaslighted her, and when Naina finally decided to leave, to start a new life, to escape to Australia, Sushil couldn't handle it. He felt like he was losing control, and instead of letting her go, he ended her life. After years of trial, Sushil Sharma was sentenced to death, but the sentence wasn't carried out. In 2013, due to good behavior in prison, the Supreme Court commuted his sentence to life imprisonment, and in 2018, he was released. Yes, released. After committing one of the most brutal murders in Indian history, Sushil Sharma walked out of prison, a free man. So as you slowly drift off into sleep, let your mind float between thoughts, between right and wrong, justice and mercy. What do we do when monsters hide behind smiles? When the people who say they love you are the ones who destroy you? Tonight we remember Naina Sani, not as a victim, but as a woman who wanted to live, who deserved freedom and love. Let her story lull you gently into the night, and may her soul finally rest in peace. Good night. The Furnace Murder, a case that shook New York. No one truly knows the limits of a criminal's mind. Sometimes jealousy, insecurity, and rage can push a person so far that even the most brutal crime begins to make sense. To them, this is the story of a man who crossed every imaginable line. A man who tried to destroy not only a life, but all traces of it. It was the night of August 14th, 1998. NYPD officers Marcus Brown and Evelyn Clark were doing their usual night patrol through the Lower East Side of Manhattan. As they turned down Eldridge Street, they noticed thick, black smoke rising from the chimney of an old shuttered diner. It was 2:30 in the morning, and the place was supposed to be closed. Suspicious, the officers parked their cruiser and approached the building. Standing near the entrance was a man who introduced himself as Roger Langston, the owner of the diner and a local political activist. When asked about the smoke, Roger casually replied, "Just burning some old paperwork and junk furniture. Nothing to worry about." But Officer Clark wasn't convinced. The smell wasn't just smoke. It had a sharp, foul scent. Something like burnt flesh. She noted it, but without probable cause, the officers left to continue their patrol. Just 10 minutes later, screams echoed from the alley behind the diner. "Fire! Somebody help! The place is on fire!" The officers raced back to the scene. Now flames were bursting from the back windows. They called the fire department and backup immediately. When the fire crew arrived and forced open the locked back door, what they found horrified everyone. In the rear of the kitchen stood a large industrial furnace. Flames still burned inside, and the smell, it was unmistakable. Human flesh. Once the fire was subdued, investigators began digging through the ashes. Inside that furnace, they found charred human remains. A torso partially intact, scorched beyond recognition. And, worse, fragments of a woman's skull. The man from earlier, Roger Langston, was gone. But his assistant, Kevin Marshall, had stayed behind. Kevin was arrested on the spot. During interrogation, he refused to talk. But when shown the gruesome photographs of the body, he broke down. "I didn't kill her," he said. "I only helped because he said she betrayed him." The victim was identified through dental records as Melissa Langston, Roger's wife. A local school teacher, she had gone missing 2 days earlier. Roger had told friends she was visiting family in Vermont. Kevin revealed chilling details. Roger had become convinced that Melissa was having an affair with an old college friend, Daniel Lopez. Melissa had recently told Roger she wanted a divorce. She had confided in Kevin days before her death, afraid Roger would hurt her. That night, according to Kevin, Roger came home drunk and raging. He accused Melissa of cheating, demanded to see her phone, and when she refused, he pulled a gun. He shot her in the living room. Kevin, who lived in the apartment above the diner, said Roger called him in the middle of the night. "Help me clean up," he had said. "You owe me." They wrapped Melissa's body in a tarp and transported it to the diner. Roger decided the furnace was the best way to destroy the evidence. He planned the whole thing like a military operation. Burn the body, scatter the bones, and act like nothing ever happened. But the stench of murder can't be hidden forever. 9 days later, Roger Langston was found hiding at his sister's farmhouse in upstate New York. He was arrested without incident, but during interrogation, he denied everything. Unfortunately for him, NYPD had CCTV footage of him purchasing accelerants, heavy-duty gloves, and a fire poker the day after Melissa went missing. The trial made headlines across the country, dubbed the furnace murder by the press. It exposed Roger's dark side, his obsessive control over Melissa, his rage issues, his fake political activism used to mask an abusive marriage. The jury took less than 6 hours to find him guilty of first-degree murder, evidence tampering, and abuse of a corpse. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. But here's the question. Is life in prison enough for someone who burned his own wife to ashes? Tell us what you think. Should such crimes demand the death penalty? Or is life behind bars justice enough? For more chilling cases, don't forget to subscribe to the Crime Files Midnight Stories, where the darkest secrets come to light.